Ladies and gents, welcome back to another edition of STSL Off the Track. Hope everybody has had a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend celebrating our men and women in uniform that serve our great nation of the United States. And we had a few big moments happening this past weekend in the monster truck industry. Definitely a lot of news to talk about as we head towards the future, especially here during the summertime. And we're going to get to that here in just a few moments. But first, introducing everybody that's here. Also, it's just the dynamic duo here tonight as I'm Nalfajin holding down the fort once again. And the one man here tonight, he is the OG of STSO Off the Track. He does all the hard work for you listeners. This is Lane Flores.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm still a little bit under the weather. This week it was just like dirty allergy wet of air on Sunday, and I came down with it. I'm still kind of recovering. I'm feeling a little better. Still having some sniffles, mucus, throat, dry throat at this point, but I'm feeling better. That's why I have enough host for tonight. But good to be back here tonight.
Yeah, that is right. Glad to still have you back on the show, Lane. And even if nobody else joins for the remainder of this hour, how much time we have, we're still going to rock it out, give you guys a good show as we take a look at all that's happening in the monster truck industry as of late. But first, we're going to dive into the sports segment for tonight. What's going on in the sports world? It's not going to be your typical sports world segment, as we'll get to a bit more here in just a bit, but a few things to recap as we're getting closer and closer to the NBA Finals. One team has already clinched their spot in the finals, and that is the New York Knicks, who absolutely swept the Cleveland Cavaliers, winning the series 4-0 in a best out of seven series. So the Knicks are going back to the NBA Finals and they are awaiting their opponent from the West Conference, as right now the Oklahoma City Thunder is leading the San Antonio Spurs in the series 3-2. They're going to play game 6 tomorrow night, and that is going to be at San Antonio, Texas. So the Spurs do have home field advantage or home court advantage. If they lose, then the Thunder, I believe they are the defending champions. They'll go back to the championship and try to defend their title, but the Spurs are trying to stay alive. Not much happening right now in the WWE world. However, this very soon it's going to be the Clash in Italy, so definitely be on the lookout for that. But the main thing for tonight's sports segment, and really some news that shocked the entire racing world, especially if you are a big NASCAR fan. One of the greatest racers of all time, Kyle Busch, died about a week ago. As we're recording as of May 27th, this past Thursday, May 21st, Kyle Busch died at 41 years old. The cause of death really just a combination of different illnesses that he's had while also racing at the same time, which was an absolute shock, especially considering he was still racing at the top of his game in the Cup Series. And last week, I think a few weeks ago, in I think it was Delaware, yeah, the Dover International Speedway, he won his what he didn't know it was going to be his last race he ever won in the Truck Series. And he stated in the post race interview that you never know when your last race is going to be. And that was very true as he died this past Thursday. And this whole weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the week of the Coca Cola 600, was just filled with tributes to one of the greatest NASCAR racers of all time. Just going through a few of the accolades, he is a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion in both 2015 and 2019, won a few regular season points championships as well, and altogether, he has won well almost 300 races. As we take a look at how many races Kyle Busch has accumulated altogether from all three series, of course, that being the Cup Series, Xfinity, and Truck Series, 234 wins all time, which is the most that anyone has ever won. So, this past weekend, just an emotional one for many people in the NASCAR world. especially Daniel Suarez, who won the Coca Cola 600, mostly due to a rain delay that canceled the rest of the race, but he still paid tribute to Bush for his win. So I'm now going to get Lane Flores in on this. What are your initial reactions to the sudden death of Kyle Busch and the legacy that he leaves behind?
Uh, I was completely at a word of loss. I've seen. I know I saw the group chat. The first thing I saw was Mac Bullock Mac uh, say, "Holy crap!" Pretty much. I would say what he did actually say, but I'll PGI's it. Um, I saw that and I'm like, what happened? Is it like another monster truck accident? Something happened this time? And I look at what Sam sent, and it was the post from NASCAR that Kyle Busch passed away, and my heart immediately sank. It sank like I never would have ever thought before. I was completely shocked. I was completely sad for pretty much the rest of the day. I didn't know what to do for the rest of the day except for just realize, except the fact that Kyle suddenly passed just so fast, and it was really shocking for the whole entire motorsport world. And to this day, it still hurts. Like it still hurts knowing Cal passed. And he was competing mid season too. Like we're only still halfway through the season, but yeah, I was completely shocked, really devastated. I heard a lot for the Bush family, Samantha, Braxton, and the whole family. Um, yeah, I was really just completely taken away from it. Uh, if I had to imagine this is what it was like losing Dale in 2001, then I guess it's exact same pain, losing Kyle. As they were both competing mid-season, only just two different scenarios. But yeah, he like Nafajin said, it was a combination of illnesses, which first was pneumonia, and then it goes straight on to sepsis. So yeah, I'm still really reeling from this. I'm still reeling this process from, the loss of a big icon in the motorsports world, especially in this current generation. Who someone who has competed in the last 20 years, but yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of Kyle Busch. I was more of a fan of Hendrick Motorsports the most. Jeff Gordon, Chase, Elliott, most of the guys at Hendrick. But losing Kyle Busch, even though I wasn't a fan of that guy, I I still admired his racing. His racing. It was really what everyone liked. He was called Rowdy for a reason, and Rowdy he absolutely was. So yeah, I'm still at a complete loss of words for Cal. My whole heart goes out to the Bush family. Of course, friends and family. It was well, Kurt. Um, for the whole Bush family. But yeah, that's all I could say about this. It just still hurts really 1 week later.
Oh yeah, it still doesn't feel real because not only was he one of the most successful racers in NASCAR history, but he was such a huge personality in the NASCAR world. And like Lane said, whether you were a fan of him or not, he will go down as one of the greatest racers, not just in NASCAR, but in the entire racing world. So, yeah, this is all of a sudden we have lost one of the greatest racers of all time. So, our thoughts and prayers all go out to his wife, his children, and all the friends and family that he knew closely. Rest in peace, Rowdy. You will be missed. But now, on that note, we will transition away from the sports world and into all the monster truck stuff that has happened this past weekend. As we first take a look at all the events we had this past weekend via our handy dandy Google Sheets made by several monster truck superfans, let's take a look at all the events we had this past weekend. So, starting off down under in Australia at Brisbane, Queensland, Monster Trucks Unleashed 7 trucks with 4 drivers. Brock Thomas drove 3 trucks, that being Blaze, Buddy, and Executioner. Jack Monkhouse drove Wacky Do and Wicked. Hayden Francis behind the wheel of Raptors Rampage, and Michael Strait behind the wheel of Miss Mayhem. Monster X Tour was on the East and West Coast this past weekend. Starting off with the West Coast in Sacramento, California. This consisted of Barefoot, Paul Craighead, Boss Skater Brian Leach, Hammer Down, Andy Severe, Rampage, Josh Garrity, and Werewolf Stanley Hernandez. They were also in Phoenix City, Alabama. This was an cracked lineup with Feeling Froggy, Jeremy Brady, Jurassic Attack, Preston Collins, Outlaw, Brandon Pizzo, Psychotic, Kane Waldron, and Velociraptor, Preston Perez.
That lineup does not
Um,
feel real at all. I didn't even know Outlaw was in this lineup.
that that was incredibly
Like,
strange. And Team Throttle Monster and Feeling Froggy in the same
I saw
lineup.
that picture and Wayne was like, "This does not feel real." I didn't even. It gets crazier in a Monster X tour of all tours.
Yeah, Monster X Tour is on a different animal. They are something else. But now we go into the Monster Truck Bash with the ice cream AI generated logo. At Manassas, Virginia, this included Equalizer Mike Hawkins, Godzilla Ryan Holman, Rescue Racer Josh Holman, and Metal Monster Shane Grunstedt. And to talk about AI Monster Truck logos, Epic Monster Truck Tour, not beating the AI allegations. And this was only a three-truck lineup in Globe, Arizona, with the Felon, Gabe Montoya, Misfit Andrew Lane, and Geronimo with Rob and Christian Potre, both sharing the driving duties for that. Monster Madness, the Canadian tour, they were in two places this weekend. One was Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. This was a three-truck lineup with Helion, Rich Bernier, Psychopath, Pat Paquette, and Trainwreck, Matt Briand. And they were also in Kamloops, British Columbia, with Anger Management, Jesse Como, Crude Behavior, Jared Vogel, Loud and Dirty, Perry Como, Roughneck, Jason Court, and Sabotage with Crystal Carey. Monster Trucks All Out, another Canadian tour. This is in Woodstock, Ontario, and this included Axe with Joe Foley, Alfox, Jim Pigeon, Robo Shark with John Kohler, and T Rex Mike Worsley. The Memorial Total Off-Road Rally, a local show, was in Dresser, Wisconsin. This included Against the Grain, Brad Shepard, Bigfoot, Josh Baumgartner, Graham Demption, Kurt Kramer, and Reminator, Mark Hall. The Monster Spectacular, they were in two places this weekend. One was on May 23rd, they were in Ottawa, Ontario, and this was a seven-truck lineup with Avenger Jim Kohler, Black Stallion Mike Fodders, Higher Education Chris DeHoyos, Mayhem Chris Kohler, Overkill Evolution Mikey Vodders, Rat Nasty Ryan Como, and Superfoot with Isa Natal. And the next day, May 24th, they were in Kingston, Ontario. Basically, all of the Vaughters trucks, Black Stallion, Higher Education, Overkill Evolution, and Superfoot, and why not throw Rat Nasty in there as well? 2X Monster Trucks Tour was in Park City, Kansas, with Bounty Hunter, Jeremiah Barras, Jekyll and Hyde, Corey Connell, Roaring Rex with Mike the Nuge Nugent, and Sharkbite, Dan the Man Dahlgren.
Yeah.
Let's go. And the last event this weekend, and this past weekend, I won't get to talk about it here soon, is the Malicious Monster Truck Tour at Bremerton, Washington. And you know, this is the straight up racing crew, so you know you're going to get a good show out of the Cali Kid and Rockstar, both driven by Bill Payne, Elbows Up with Joe Briggs, Identity Theft with Marvin Anderson, Mixed Up Gavin Sell, Spitfire Nick Jones, and Titan Donald Epidendio. So a bit of a recap over a few of these events, some highlights, and maybe some questionable moments, kind of like this Australian show at Brisbane, Queensland, of course, which was Monster Truck Unleashed. This is a big show, indoor show that happens every year in Australia, and some interesting things relating to safety. You know, at all times, there has to be no personnel on the track unless, of course, you're a tech official. But while these trucks do introduction jumps or two-wheel skills moves, there are personnel, staff members standing on the ramps, or they're standing right next to a truck as they're doing a stoppie. Like we've there's been several tours have gotten heat for like lack of safety precautions. But here's one guy who's recording Buddy, basically a Scooby Doo knockoff, doing a stoppie, and he's trying to get up there, trying to get a good photo. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Lane, and all the safety precautions that this Australian tour loves to take?
In the wake of recent events that happened in South America and North America, there's no way this happens in land down under. Only they made it safe. I know what you're talking about too. I saw the Wackadoo video from I believe Monster Talk, and I'm like, I like how he doesn't even question it. Like, they're like right in front, basically out front from the ramp, very much across from them. Not even halfway across the arena. It's like full on across. But still, it's like one wrong move and they're done for. But like, how? I, I mean, I don't even know what else to say. Like, I literally saw a video just earlier too from a team in the. I mean, this has to be a team from Australia. They were doing a practice test for stoppy ramp and moon or yeah nose wheelie. They were doing a test run, and of course the cameraman is very much close to the truck, right across from it too, like just right toe to toe with the truck itself. And I'm kind of getting nervous there, like, bro, move. Um, so the Australians got some balls, I'll tell you that much. But like, come on, man, get out the way.
That is so real. I mean, I know that you like to get some good B-roll of the trucks doing cool things, but maybe being right there on the track is probably not the best place to do that. Because in the world of monster trucks, you just never know what could happen. Stuff is always predictable. Kind of like one driver by the name of Chris Kohler, who was at this one show in Canada at the Monster Spectacular, who, if you've seen the video, it's on Chris Kohler's Instagram. He went sideways on a stack of cars. Yeah, keep in mind, this is a concrete show with crushed cars and vans. He goes sideways on one of the stacks of cars, lands on the left side, and barrel rolls it. He doesn't land it? He landed on the roof on the side. So yeah, that I'm sure that's got to have a physical toll on him and a physical toll on the trucks as well. Because, geez, Lane, when's the last time that we've seen a driver go that crazy on asphalt or concrete?
Chris Kohler is him, and I really don't think we've seen anything like that. Therefore, Chris Kohler is him. Ryan Anderson even can't even.
Oh my gosh, I think he might just be trying to break the truck in even more at the World Finals, making sure it's really bulletproof
Yeah.
and a tank as well. Yeah, Chris Kohler, he's just following up what his father Jim did, building up his legacy. Maybe this is just another step closer to Chris Kohler building his own, but just getting ready for the World Finals by doing crazy stuff in the Monster Spectacular. But talking about crazy stuff, what in the world is Bill Payne doing with that tour that he calls the Malicious Monster Truck Insanity Tour? And it is insanity. If you've gotten to see from their past show that he did last weekend in Bremerton, Washington, and if I remember correctly, this might have been the venue as well where a tire got bounced into the crowd, but we've already talked about that plenty. But this past weekend, only in intros, I mean, only at a tour like this, in the intros, can you see Spitfire do a reverse popper, Bill Payne do a stoppie with Rockstar, and Donald Epidendio drifts around Rockstar while it's on its front two wheels, and everybody else is jumping ramps, doing mini freestyles for intros. In the show, they bring out tanks, also known as Major Payne, bring out tough trucks. I mean, they're just doing so many crazy stuff. And Lane, that's got me thinking maybe I should take a trip out to Washington and see a Bill Payne show because that stuff is crazy.
Yeah. Also, Travis Pastrana, eat your heart out. If you thought Jim Connell was cool, man, Donald did it so much cooler. It was literally it was smooth. Like drifting around. Uh, Rockstar was just so smooth. the whole thing where every other truck was also performing a stunt somehow was it was cool. Kind of reminds you of an encore, but this was just pulled off so nicely, and that drift around Rockstar was really smooth by Donald.
Yeah, only Bill Payton's got some guts trying to coordinate all that stuff with the drivers and executed it perfectly. So, what could be next for this malicious monster tour? We'll just have to find out later on in the future. But that was a brief preview or a recap, actually, of this past weekend's events. And we'll get more into next week's events later on in this episode. But now let's take a look at some big news or a little bit of preview of what's to come later in the Monster Truck world. So, first, we're going to talk about some trademark information. So, if any of you have never heard, if in case you know me, nobody's ever heard of Justia, that is basically a website that is a trademark library. Justia trademarks, you can look up any company and any trademarks that they have made, when they were filed, what kind of information, additional information relates to that trademark. So this is like when we found out the trademark for Sparkle Smash, when it got ready for competition, the trademark for Rec Deck before that came out at World Finals last year. And so a few more interesting trademarks were made. Now, keep in mind, this is nothing absolutely official. This is just a list of trademarks that have been made by Feld Entertainment, and we're just speculating on what it could possibly be. So that's what we're getting into here. First, a lot of trademarks relating dinosaurs. Because, of course, we've got to have more dinosaurs in Monster Jam, right? Let's take a look at the trademarks that Feld has made as of late. Dinosaurs, which was filed back in November 2025. And this year, they filed a few trademarks for Dino Spike, Dino Swoop, Dino Fang, Dino Dinos. Yeah, Dino Dinos, DYNO and DINOS. Very interesting indeed. But the big trademark that was really standout worthy was filed on May 20th, Monster Jam Christmas Chaos. Now, there are two different trademarks for this as labeled on the Justia Trademarks website, as one trademark relates to clothing, sweatshirts, footwear, basically just merchandise. And there is another trademark for Christmas Chaos that is related to, quote, entertainment services, namely arranging and conducting of competitions in the field of motorsports, organizing, arranging, end quote. So basically, this might be the lead to a special Monster Jam event that's Christmas related that could happen later on in December. Now, I want to bring this Lane Flores in on this. I'm sure we can skip over everything related to dinosaurs because nobody cares about that. But Christmas Chaos, what do you think this might lead to?
It sounds really interesting. My first initial thought I hope this is where we get a winter stadium show back, and I hopefully it's Minneapolis because Minneapolis was kind of synonymous being for the last stadium show of the calendar year, um, and also where they tested out tracks, and it was always in December up until 2019, right before COVID. Since then, we have not had a December Minneapolis show. They was only had them in February, and I mean, I don't know what the NFL Vikings schedule looks like later this year, especially around December. But if this is that show, I hopefully it is Minneapolis. I hope it is this in December. They always hope be hosted around like the first or second week. And I'm really intrigued what they meant by a Christmas chaos show or trademark specifically. This that's a first. They never had anything related, especially to the holiday theme that was around the corner. I know they did Orlando 22 around Halloween, even though it was like a week or two before. Um, or Indianapolis 2017. It was also around the corner for Halloween, but they never actually did it on the week of. But like I'm really curious what this one will actually mean. I'm actually even more curious what the lineup could actually look like. Um, I wonder if this will be like a superstar, all star kind of show where it's a team based competition. I wonder if any trucks will get special paints, um, or you know, this could be something more disappointing, and it'll be like a Monster Jam 80s advent calendar. But given that it's a trademark for a show, we'll see. Who knows? We'll see what it is.
Yeah, but as you guys can hear based on our discussion, we're just speculating what this could be. We have absolutely no insider information about this. We don't know what this could possibly be. But if this is indeed another special Moss Jam event, then wherever it's going to be located, I think Minneapolis would be the perfect location because since COVID-19 happened, there hasn't been a single December Minneapolis show, which is basically what Monster Jam Minneapolis has been known for being the last stadium event of that year. So that would be the perfect place to have such Christmas event like that. Looking at the NFL schedule, the earliest that Minneapolis can have a show like that before Christmas would be the weekend of December 12th, because that is a week when they are on the road on Thursday night playing against the New England Patriots. But that's besides the point. What these trademarks can mean, especially Monster Jam Christmas Chaos, only time will tell. Maybe we'll get an announcement at this year's World Finals, but that is long into the distant future. Nothing really official about that. But there is something confirmed and made official relating to one former Monster Jam driver. And this is when we bring up Blake Granger. Yes, because for everybody who's been following the monster truck industry, we've already talked about his situation in Huntsville, Alabama with Monster Dalmatian. He got kicked out of Monster Jam entirely. Well, he is back in the monster truck industry. He's not going to be driving anymore, but he's got something else up his sleeve. What is it exactly? Well, let's take a look. As he announced a few days ago, I think on Sunday, he announced that, quote, the dog is off the leash. Tried to keep this dog down, didn't work. Excited to officially announce my new collaboration with Monster Truck Roundup. Introducing Off the Leash. More details, events, and content coming soon. Appreciate all the support. Let's have some fun with this one. End quote. So basically, he's going to be teaming up with a new or a different tour, the Monster Truck Roundup, which is an independent tour that runs in fairgrounds and speedways over on the East Coast, and he's debuting a new truck, Off the Leash. Now, of course, this isn't really coming out until 2027, but this was a very interesting turn for Blake Granger's career. Starting off as a fill-in driver for Monster Jam, keeps going up the rankings to the point where he wins multiple tour championships and a World Finals championship. And then one accident in Huntsville, Alabama, got him out of Monster Jam. But now he's taking a step down in the independent scene. Still in competition. I'm sure he'd take that over no driving monsters at all any day. But just a very interesting situation of where Blake Granger's at right now. So, Lane, what are your thoughts on this kind of Ricky Bobby scenario that Blake Granger is going on right now?
It's interesting, and I'm even more curious why he still chose to stick with a dog themed truck name specifically. I know it's not going to be probably I given truck roundup. It's probably not going to be a 3D custom body, which I hope not. I'd rather be a pickup body. Heard this is going to be with the Shockwave team. Um, Not 100% confirmed on that yet, but there's a lot of things going on with that. And emphasize on keeping a dog down because he could not keep Demolition down on the ground in uh, South Haven, I think it was. No, not South Haven. I don't even remember. It's been so long. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm curious how this is gonna work. I'm curious if he's gonna actually limit down his driving style. He was getting a little crazier at the end of his Monster Jam career. Um, I'm glad he didn't give up though. I am kind of glad he didn't give up. A lot of people were happy and excited that he will be back in the monster truck scene only now in the independence. Kind of brings it back to Cole Bernard when he started out his independent career after getting fired from Monster Jam as well. Going on from Team Gravedigger to Team Overboard and starting off with the Black Pearl, which I mean, look at that look how that worked out for Cole. Um, but I'm more interested on how that's going to work out for Blake, given it's a really smaller team that has never been in Monster Jam, never probably intends to be in Monster Jam, but still makes regularly attends regular attend independent shows. Um, and I'm curious on what everything will look like, even down to, merge the whole look. I okay, this is the one thing I really don't like, and I hope he actually does find someone. Which I say he should hit up Master of Graphics, for this, but he
Uh,
should stop with the AI slop designs because it is getting absolutely ridiculous, which we should talk about
yeah,
that soon. Because we caught Joe Foley red hot handed in the act. Um, yeah, I'm interested in how it's gonna work out for Blake. If it's gonna work out the exact same way as it did for uh, Colvinard, and we've seen a history of a lot of independent drivers going from Feld. John Seesock, uh, Tony Farrell, well, quite a few, actually a lot. Corey Romo being the recent one as well, but it's gonna be interesting to see how it's gonna work out for Blake.
yeah, yeah. Something quick as well. If you're an active member in the monster truck industry, like a driver or a tour promoter, you have access to people that make graphics. You have access to people that can make animations for you for your promotions. Why are you using AI? Because there are so many tours like Monster X, Hot Wheels, Roundup. There's a few others like Monster Bash. Some drivers, even like Joe Foley, Kylie Kent, they are creating AI content. Like, bro, stop it. Your AI slot bores me. I mean, what do you think about that, Lane? I mean, why is this industry using AI now? We used to be a proper country.
I hate the fact that AI is absolutely convenient and maybe in some cases free. I don't know if some have paid AI to do that or whatever. I mean, it's got to be free because you can do whatever you want with AI for free. I don't know, but yeah, we've caught Joe Foley, like I said, uh, in the in the act of an AI slop graphic, and it is the same one we saw. I think for a recent promotion of a show for Dennis Anderson unveiling the new King Sling League, literally the exact same design and all. But I'm like, you guys have know so many people in the industry, like you said, that do these graphics either for fun or for money or literally just either for both. Like for the absolute love of the game, there's Jam Customs, there's Master of Graphics, there's me, which I mean I don't have the time for it, but I would love to if someone asked me for it. Even I do it if even no one asks, but like there's these people that absolutely love to do that in graphics, and they come out very awesome. It's just they do it even they think it's more convenient, maybe free, but like they gotta stop on this. It's wasting a lot of water, and not only that, there's a lot of hot water with data centers and the water being wasted for those AIs. So stop, please.
We do not need any more AI generated content in this industry. But yeah, that's the end of our AI slump tangent that we've been on as we've sidetracked from the Blake Granger conversation. Looking forward to seeing what this next chapter can provide for Blake and the continuation of his monster career. But now, a few more things to know about recent Monster Jam news. Freestyle Mania is going to be continuing this summer after the World Finals. More to mention about the World Finals here soon, but talking about Freestyle Mania, the summer series. Of course, last year's Freestyle Mania series in the summer was big, as it's something that Monster Jam has not done before, and they continued it. They made it a whole regular season point series, And now they're continuing with a few events this summer, mostly on the East Coast. And we've gotten the majority of the lineup announced as we're taking a look here on Monster Jam's website. Just take a look at Orlando, Florida, for example. Let's take a look at the teams that we have. So basically, it's half Fell Entertainment and half Team Overboard. So let's take a look here. First, with the Fell drivers, Team JCB Digatron is Tony Oaks and TJ Tiffany, like the regular season was. Team Gravedigger is Kristen Anderson and Noah Blocken. Team Sparkle Smash, good old Kayla Blood and Cam Sepulveda. And El Toro Loco is Armando Castro and AJ Roseborough. Now let's take a look at Team Overboard and what they'll be representing for Freestyle Mania. Starting off with Jamie Garner with Zombie, and oh, he's got Chandler Hyder as his teammate. Cool. His son Zach Garner is driving Moss Went Dalmatian out of all identities with Greg Duffy as his teammate. A to be announced driver will be behind the wheel of Classroom Crusher, and the teammate is Drew Smile. And Megalodon, currently the driver listed is Deidre Garner with the FMX rider Scott Murray. So basically, with FMX, every every rider from the regular season is in their same identity, with the exception of Greg Duffy. There's no Bailey Circuit in this lineup, so instead, Monster White Dalmatian, that's what he's going into. So now, bringing in Lane Flores on this, what are your thoughts on this interesting pairing with Team Overboard and the felt identities and riders for Freestyle Mania?
I want to start off with Team Zombie. I love Jamie Garner, not Chandler Hater. Terrorist team in full effect, like Brad would say. Yeah. Osama bin. Oh,
One way to
yeah.
put it.
Chandler bin Laden is what he would call him, but like terrorist team in full effect. Jamie Garner's not even used to arenas, which is the harder part. So yeah, I guess that team name is gonna be as it stands so throughout the rest of the season. I'm curious that it's gonna be on Zombie this time. I'm more curious about Zach Garner and Dalmatian. Uh, they should have given him a different one, especially a pickup body, Blue Thunder. Um, or Bailey Sir. Oh, no, actually, they don't really give sponsored themes to the indies yet. But yeah, Dalmatian is a choice. Should have given him Rottweiler or something, but Dalmatian is definitely a choice. Deidre Garner, it's almost like she never left. Well, uh, yeah. Jay Gore, yeah, he's not gonna be around for the summer series at least. Don't know what he's gonna be doing yet, but Deidre Garner, she's gonna be back. Uh, we'll see on that, and then who? What? Okay, what team was the fourth? What was the fourth truck? Was it Classroom Crusher or?
Yeah, it's Classroom Crusher, and that has a to be announced driver still.
So this one does have to be uh on the Black Pearl because it's gonna. I imagine it's gonna be all four overboard teams or trucks. I mean, so for this one to be on Black Pearl, it's not gonna be Cole Bernard because I think he's gonna be out for most of the summer shows, excluding Evansville because I think we'll be there. And I know that Elvis Linus will not be able to come back to Jam anytime soon. Same case as Blake. I think Logan Vessels, this may his time. They may start giving him a shot. If not, they're probably just gonna call up Jaguar again, like, hey, we'll give you Classroom for the time being, or who knows? We'll see if Cole, drives or not. But I'm interested on to seeing how Team Overboard is gonna do in the freestyle mini series, especially. I know Team Zombie is gonna tank absolutely hard because it's Chandler, Iden, but like Megalodon's gonna Team Megalodon's definitely gonna get carried. It's the same exact case. Actually, no. Put it this way: it's like if Kylie Ken and Scott Murray were in the same exact team, only getting carried. Actually, no. It's the exact same case for Michaela Talashka and Scott Murray earlier this season. So we'll be seeing the exact same finish for Team Meg in fourth, thanks to Scott Murray.
Yeah, there's a lot to look forward to with this summer freestyle mania series. Definitely some interesting pairings with the driver and the FMX teammate, and just what identity they're driving. Like Zach Garner, I've only imagined him driving Wild Side. Nothing really felt entertainment. And for his first failed identity to be Monster Mutt Dalmatian, I mean, I guess with Blake Granger gone, they got to have another big dog to represent Monster Mutt Dalmatian. So Zach Gardner is definitely a choice. How will they all perform in Freestyle Mania this year? Only time will tell. We'll have to see.
I'm more
But
curious since we're gonna get into Stars and Stripes real soon. I wonder if they're gonna give him the special Dalmatian for Freestyle Mania. Also, talk about Zach Garner and first ever felled body he's ever get to use. Fun fact: the first two bodies they were going to give him if he decided not to stick with Wildside um, was Blue Thunder or Max D. I believe for the 2022 season when everything was coming back, kind of. But yeah, Blue Thunder or Max D were going to be his first filled bodies if he didn't stick with Wildside in 2022. But yeah, curious on what to see what happens for
yeah,
Garner.
Zach Garner in Blue Thunder would have been absolutely peak.
Yeah,
But glad he's representing his own name Wild Side. But Monster Dalmatian is going to be quite an interesting thing. I did mention Stars and Stripes. That leads us into the next point for tonight is that Stars and Stripes is back at the World Finals. No surprise there because Monster Jam World Finals is back on the 4th of July weekend for Salt Lake City, Utah. Now, last year, Monster Jam had three Stars and Stripes trucks in competition: Gravedigger, El Toro Loco, and Megalodon. All of those will be back this year, along with a few others. So, Zombie Stars and Stripes, we've seen that this year with Barb and Sour. That'll be there. JCB Digatron Stars and Stripes, the render has not been unveiled yet, but Scott Jordan announced in the selection show that Tony Oaks will be representing that truck. Now we had two new unveilings of two new Stars and Stripes trucks. The first one was Sparkle Smash, which is going to be driven by Caleb Blood, and the other one, perfect timing for this, is a Monster Mutt Dalmatian, which presumably was going to be Blake Granger's ride had he not done stupid stuff in Huntsville. And if he still got to compete in the World Finals, this probably would have been his truck. Now, while it's not going to be in competition, it is very likely that it'll still appear in the Encore. Who's going to drive that truck in the Encore? We have no tell as of right now. But yeah, interesting designs for these new Stars and Stripes trucks, don't you think?
I want to start off with the Sparkle Smash one. I was curious on this how this one was going to look, and I thought it was going to be more like a red, white, and blue popsicle. You probably know which one I'm talking about. I thought it was gonna look something similar to that. I didn't think it was gonna be a full-on blue-based body with the stars and stripes. I like these stripes choice, being the last half of the body going on through the back. The hair thing, I wish they actually worked on that instead, um, because it also has stars on it. But in the ears too, they kind of missed the mark there. But they changed their color on the horns at least too. They're going to be sporting white bead locks this time around, so I'm actually curious. I don't know. I'm curious. I like the weed, the white bead locks choice. They did go with red the last three trucks, um, but Sparkle Smash actually looks kind of good in my opinion. Of course, with the terrible driver and Caleb Blood getting to drive that, but I mean it is fitting for her too. She is also a veteran herself. I also want to get into Dalmatian. I kind of like this one the most actually. I like that they didn't even go think that hard, big of it. They didn't think hard for that. They said, you know what, we'll keep it as the white base body. We'll replace the spots with the blue stars, and then of course we'll put the red stripes on the hood, and of course the red collar, the same color. Uh, Blue ears and tail is a choice, was as well as nose. I think for Dalmatian, I like this. They didn't have to do a whole lot, just replace a few things here and there. Instead of the blue body with the white stars, I mean, I think that kind of would have looked cool. I think everybody just would have would have compared it too much to Dalmatian Nice, or just called it against Blues Clues. But I like the Dalmatian Stars and Stripes a lot. I think they did a very good job on this. So I definitely will. I kind of hope to see this time around in July for the World Finals. Of course, Megalodon Stars and Stripes will be back. Also, yeah, Dalmatian will also be sporting white beadlocks, which I think they should have done the red ones, as fine as it was, as it is with the original. Of course, Megalodon Stars and Stripes is back with this time with Zimmer Senior, and then we'll see Zombie Stars and Stripes, of course, with Bari, blue beadlocks. But yeah, what do you think on those?
Yeah, I think with Sparkle Smash, I kind of agree with you. Now, I would have liked to see like a red, white, and blue popsicle scheme for Sparkle Smash, but I kind of dig it with the exception of the ears and the tail and the hair on the top of it. It's basically just the same that they use for the other Sparkle Smash trucks. If they were to create some inflatable parts for that match with the red, white, and blue paint scheme, then I probably would have liked it a lot more. But I digress. With Monster Mutt Dalmatian Stars and Stripes, you pointed out, it's just simple. Like replace the black dots with the blue stars. They did add a red stripe on the hood and a few other parts with the ears and the tail. Other than that, I like these schemes. I'm a fan of them. I just want to wait and see what these look like whenever they're in competition or they're in the encores at the World Finals. But overall, I think the fans are going to enjoy these at Salt Lake City, Utah. Don't you think?
I definitely think so, especially the new ones. Of course, we have yet to see a reveal for JCB Digatron Stars and Stripes. I believe there's one more in this one, but I think fans are going to like these.
Yeah, so the fans in attendance for this year's World Finals will definitely be in for another treat relating to the Stars and Stripes series. And also, looking forward to seeing how these newer trucks like Monster White Dalmatian and Sparkle Smash look whenever the new diecast line comes out later on this year. But now we're going to take a look at a few events that we're going to be seeing this coming weekend as we are getting close to closing out the show tonight. Let's take a look again at the handy dandy Google Sheets at all the events we'll be having this coming weekend. Starting off with Monster Trucks Unleashed, which will be in Melbourne, Victoria, in Australia. This is Brock Thomas, once again a three-headed monster with Blazed, Buddy, and Executioner. Michael Strait with Miss Mayhem. Hayden Francis with Raptors Rampage. And Jack Boncows driving Wackadoo and Wicked. Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live will be back in action with Baltimore, Maryland on the East Coast and Everett, Washington on the West Coast. Harrisburg, Virginia, that's where Monster Truck Bash is going to be. Only two confirmed trucks and drivers right now out of the four truck lineup, with Ryan Holman in Godzilla, Josh Holman in Rescue Racer. Monster Trucks Maniac will be in Brady, Texas, with Crazy Heifer, Cody Adikas, Fire Hazard, Chris Davis, Johnny Davenport doing double duty with Ghost Rider and Girl Power. King Crunch with Dylan Finley, and a to be announced driver for Nitro Hornet. Monster X Tour is going to be doing three locations this weekend. Starting off on May 20, actually a few days ago, on May 25th, they were in Sacramento, California. This lineup consisted of Paul Craighead driving Barefoot and Boss Skater, Andy Severe in Hammer Down, Josh Garrity in Rampage, and Stanley Hernandez in Werewolf. Now, a few of those drivers will be in Sholo, Arizona. Actually, the only driver who's going to be there is going to be Werewolf Stanley Hernandez. And a few other drivers include Brian Leach with Boss Gator, Ryan Robinson with Hammer Down, Rob Poutre with Geronimo, and a to be announced driver for Rampage. They're also going to be in Portage, Wisconsin on May 30th. This consists of Barefoot, Byron Cadigan, Blue Ox with Jay Bozart, Wild Thing with a to be announced driver, and one more to be announced truck and driver. Moving on to the Monster Truck Insanity Next Level Tour, a four truck lineup in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That's quite a French name for a potato state.
Coeur d'Alene.
This is Dragon Thunder. Oh, okay, I
Something
don't
like
speak
that.
Wee
Like
Wee.
I've seen the first word and I can think of Montreal. So I think it's I wanted to say Montreal. Kyodelin, Idaho. Did I say that right? There's no way. I thought someone please tell me I said that right. That'd be cool.
I would have never guessed that that kind of a name for a city or a town would be in Idaho, but I digress. Dragon Slayer, Caden Morris, Farmageddon, Kirk Christensen, Hillbilly, Tim Manchester, and the Next Level truck with David Tucker behind the wheel. Also, Full Throttle Monster Trucks is going to be in Burnside, Kentucky with American Scout, Colton Kaiser, County Mountie, Roger Gager, Metal Monster, Shane Grunseth, Plain Hooky, J.R. Seasock, and Stomper, Dalton Van Skylock. The Canadian Tour Monster Madness will be in London, Ontario, with Helion, Rich Bernier, Psychopath, Pat Paquette, Rat Nasty, Ryan Como, Sabotage, Crystal Carey, and Trainwreck, Matt Briand. The Malicious Monster Truck Insanity Tour, the Straight Up Racing Camp, that is going to be Elbows Up, Joe Briggs, Identity Theft, Miles Parker, Mixed Up, Gavin Sell, Rockstar, Bill Payne, and Spitfire, Nick Jones. Monsters of Destruction is back in action at Bozeman, Montana, and this includes Double Trouble, Tyler Groff, The Beautiful Nightlife with Aaron Basil, Obsessed, Eric Swanson, Pretty Obsessed, Misha Swanson, and the veteran Travis Groff. 2X Live Tour is going to be in Humboldt, Kansas, with Bounty Hunter, the two-time world champion Jimmy Creedon, Jekyll and Hyde, Corey Connell, Rowan Rex with the Nuge Mike Nugent, and Sharkbite, Dan the Man Dahlgren.
Yeah.
Let's go. Renegade Monster Trucks, Berea, Ohio. If you're going to this show, wish you the best of luck, because you'll be seeing Frostbite, Kylie Kent, the Haymaker, Chucky Palkin, Jurassic Attack, Preston Collins, Velociraptor, Preston Perez, and War Wizard RJ Turner. Decent lineup there. Monster Truck Throwdown is going to be in Wilmot, Wisconsin. They'll be seeing High Tide, Elliot Miller, Lomas Madness, Athena Kozel, Psycho Circus, Mason Rife, Rat Attack, Jacob Flywig, Terminal Velocity, John Zimmer Jr., and Uproar, John Zimmer Sr. Monster Spectacular, the Canadian Tour, will be in Quebec City, Quebec, with Avenger, Jim Kohler, Black Stallion, Mike Waters, Higher Education, Chris DeHoyos, Mayhem, Chris Kohler, Overkill Evolution, Mikey Waters, Psychopath, Pat Paquette, and Superfoot, Ethan Atal. So definitely look out for Chris Kohler to do another barrel roll on concrete. Team Throttle Monsters Tour is going to be in Lewistown, Montana, at the Fergus County Fairgrounds with Jurassic Attack Tim Hall Jr., Kamikaze Alex Barton, Rockwell Red with Carson Williams, Shell Shocked Dalton Weiner, Velociraptor Bam Christensen, and Vendetta Mike Christensen. An absolutely cracked lineup of independents right there. So that's all the events that you'll be on the lookout for this coming weekend. Now, something fun that we can do to close out this show here tonight is to take a look back, of course, at some former failed drivers that have gone on to succeed on the independent side as I take out my. But we are keeping the show rolling. As Lana's mentioned it already before, Colvinard, former Gravedigger driver and points champion, he went over to the independent side, joined Team Overboard, and everything else is history with the name that he's built in Black Pearl. Maybe the same can be said about Blake Granger when he begins this new chapter with his new identity with the Roundup Tour. There are a few other drivers that have gone first with Feld and then independent and then back to Feld. A few notable examples are Cody Saucier when he joined Fast Metal in the 2021 season but went back to Feld to drive Dragon. Same thing for Charlie Pauken. He drove Stone Crusher for one or two events in 2021, then went back to Gravedigger or Monster Mutt in 2022. Now, we want to take a moment to hypothesize or just speculate what Feld drivers would we like to see go independent. So I'll start off first with an example or two. I'd love to see Colt Stevens drive King Crunch. I mean, I would love to see Colt Stevens
fulfill the legacy that his father Scott Stevens built back in the late 90s and the 2000s, driving King Crunch. While they do mostly run a few smaller independent shows, it would be cool to see Colt follow in his father's footsteps. Another thing, why not see Bryce Kenny in a Team Throttle monster truck? Like throw him in Jurassic Attack. I think he'd really fit that truck well. He already has fit in with several different identities and main names for them, like the Great Clips Walk Warrior, Monster Mutt, Tech Deck Rec Deck. So maybe another historic name, Jurassic Attack, might be another one for Bryce Kennedy to drive if he were ever to become an independent. So now I'm going to toss it to Lane Flores. What independent or what fellow drivers would you like to see go independent, and what truck would they drive?
Oh boy. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I have somewhere to be here in a few minutes. Um, Really hard to choose actually. Uh, I mean, you took a few out of me. You definitely took Colt Stevens pretty much away from me. That'd be a good pick with King Crunch, given it's his dad's truck back then as well. Um, I want to see Tyler Meninga actually. Doesn't matter what truck. I think I really want to see him excel out in the independent scene. It doesn't matter like what team. It could be literally the Pain Camp. It could be Koreans. Uh, he could even be with Triple B, and next you know things get better. Tyler Meninga definitely is one of them. Because he is too good with the Gravedigger, but I want to see him. I want to see him how he does like with an independent equipment. The other driver I actually want to see is uh I'm thinking here because there's already been a few. I think Fernando Martinez also was with Straight Up Racing for a little while. Like literally a lot of them came from independents. So did Jamie Sullivan. She came from Raising Cane. Um, Man, it is hard to choose. So, excuse me. First one is Tyler Meninga. Second, I want to go with. Uh, I can't really think of anyone else. Let's just say this: Ryan Anderson. I know he would absolutely kick butt in his own team. I believe. Um, like he actually, you know what? Let's do this. Actually, let's do this. All of the Andersons, Adam, Ryan, Weston, Tristan, all four of them. I want to see them how they do in their own equipments, their very own team. Yeah, let's see like this is an alternate universe where Gravedigger actually still stayed as an independent and never was bought out by Feld, but they still do like independent shows, jam, um, all of those, right? So I would love to see all four of them, see how they would do on their own terms, with their own equipment, how they would all do. Of course, the legacy of Dennis still stands, but given they have a motorbogging history, especially with Ryan and Weston, I actually want to see how all four of them would do as an independent. Um, it can be Gravedigger as an independent, but it also doesn't have to be Gravedigger. This could be like one of Adam runs Extreme Kingsling, Ryan runs uh, the Kingsling race truck. Weston also runs the same thing, or like a bog hog monster truck, and then Kristen could run like a digger's daughter, or somewhere themed to Kingsling or bog hog around there, somewhere themed to Dennis, or the Gravedigger team entirely. All as an independent. So that's who I want. So pretty much all of Gravedigger, I want to see as independents somewhere, maybe out there in a distant alternate reality that's probably going on right now.
Now, is the real question is, will they compete with Monster Truck Wars or Renegade?
Hmm.
That's the real thing.
I don't think they will
What?
do Wars. Honestly, they're too good for Wars.
No.
They're too good for Renegade. Like CJ's really trying to be up at their level, but he does it in small fairground shows where it can be really scary. Uh, Maybe your best bet is Blake, buddy, but like, yeah, you cannot go up against an Anderson, even if your dad tries to get you back into jam. But like, still, I don't think I could see them in Wars. They're too good for Wars. They're too good for Renegade. They're good for 2X, maybe Malicious, maybe even Throwdown. Throwdown would be insane, actually. toughest would be awesome. Even like their own promotion, where they sometimes do like they do for the mud bogging events.
Actually, there's a lot of tours nowadays and a lot of events too that have a minimum of 4 trucks for their shows. Imagine the 4 Anderson children just have their own tour, just compete against each other week after week.
Yeah,
That would be crazy. The Anderson Points Championship for whoever is the best sibling.
right.
Now that right there, that would be cinema.
Yeah.
Absolutely peak cinema. But yeah, just speculating and seeing what failed drivers would do good on the independent scene. But on that note, ladies and gents, on that very festive, entertaining note, that is it for tonight's edition of STSL Off the Track. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we look forward to being back here on the show next week with hopefully some more people joining the crew. But for now, for Lane Flores, I am Nalphagen. Thank you all for listening. This is STSL Off the Track.
Also, one more quick thing before we sign off for the night. This is the last time you'll be seeing this current graphics. Of course, it's still with the 2025 stuff and all. I finally came up with 2 new ones. Of course, given depending who's going to be hosting. So you'll be seeing one with whenever I'm hosting, the other one when Naf is hosting. Uh, so this is the last episode with this current graphic. We'll have a new one up next time, depending who's. I maybe just will show off both, but just wanted to put that out there. Then we'll sign up.
All right. So I just do the
Actually, we're just good there.
outro
We
again.
could just sign off right there. See you.
All right. Bye.